So as you have Father John next week for Pentecost Sunday, it seemed reasonable today to combine the Ascension message and the Pentecost message together. Because like I said at the beginning of Mass, those two events are very closely related. The Ascension refers to when Jesus returns to heaven and is seated at God's right hand. And then Pentecost Sunday, the birthday of the church, is when the Holy Spirit descends upon the apostles and they inherit the continuation of Christ's mission of salvation. How are they supposed to continue something as massive as worldwide salvation? That was our gospel reading today. Go, baptize in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach them to observe all that I have commanded of you, and I am with you always. I love the fact that that is the very end of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus is basically saying, goodbye, I love you, mind your responsibilities, and don't worry. That's a good ending. It's not a happy ending per se, but it's a good ending, and that's more important. As a matter of fact, this is my favorite kind of ending. It's the end of one story, which paves the way for a new story to begin, essentially the Acts of the Apostles. And we all need a moment like this. We all need a moment where we fully recognize the Ascension and Pentecost as parts of our lives, just like the original 12 apostles. You know, that happened. That happened in a very notable way right up the road. I'm talking about a little place called Champion, Wisconsin, 1859. A bunch of Belgian immigrants were settling there at the time, including a 28-year-old woman by the name of Adele. So one Sunday, she was walking the brisk 10 miles to church, no big deal back then, and she saw a vision of the Virgin Mary. She didn't say anything because she was confused, but she hurried on to Mass. She told the priest what happened. The priest gave her some advice in case she saw her again. They had Mass, she went home, and sure enough, on the way back, she saw the Virgin Mary again. Taking the priest's advice, they had a short conversation, and what did Mary say? She said, "Gather the children of this wild country and teach them what they should know for salvation. Go and do not fear. I will help you." The more I hear this story, the more I fall in love with it. So first of all, I know I've said this in the past. The Virgin Mary visited Wisconsin. Like, how cool is that? We need to take every opportunity to remind our family who live in Chicago that happened, you know? It's just like a rule somehow. So I love it. Secondly, more serious note. Mary did not say anything to Adele that Jesus did not already pass on to her by way of the apostles and the church. Mary didn't do anything aside from give her a little bit of encouragement and a little push in the right direction. And as wonderful and amazing as that is, Mary did not actually provide any new information. She essentially reiterated our gospel reading today. Go, do your best for the sake of others. And then my third observation for the story of Our Lady of Champion, the one curious thing she did say, gather the children of this wild country and teach them. The Virgin Mary said that. What exactly did she mean by that? Was she referring to the unsettled wilderness That was pretty much still colonial American living, after all. So that's a possibility. I'll give you that. Was she talking about Wisconsin in general? Are Packers fans wild people? You tell me. You tell me. Or how about this? What if Mary meant all of America? Because let's be real, America is a wild country. I've got a friend, he refuses to go to Milwaukee unless it's absolutely essential. He is that afraid of the city. I keep telling people about the trip I'm taking, and one of the questions is, Justin, aren't you worried about getting mugged along the way? My answer is no, not really. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not going to waste time worrying about that. But those comments are telling. Fear and danger are what come immediately to mind when people think of new locations, or at least places they don't live. The world can be a dangerous place. And to be fair, there are pockets of safety and civilization, no question, but the grand scheme of things, they're exceptional. And if you'll allow one tangent, it has nothing to do with the gospel, but one on the record. Horicon and our surrounding area here, this is exceptional. This is an exceptional place to live in more ways than one. One teeny tiny example I can give you, when I have an hour or two to kill in between my workday, I love to go to a pub or a restaurant, get a beer, mind my own business, and read my book. It's restful to get out of the office and be around people, but people I don't need to talk to, just to be around other people socially. I can do this from West Bend to Beaver Dam, and I know that I can get up and go to the bathroom, and I can leave my book, my wallet, and my phone right there on the table, and all my stuff will be waiting for me when I come back. I have never, in 5 years of being at this church, had even the slightest problem doing that sort of thing. Let's just say that's not my policy when I'm killing an hour in downtown Milwaukee. Small towns in Wisconsin, we are doing some things right. We treat each other pretty well as neighbors in general. And it's my hope that we're all grateful for that. So whether you agree with me on that or not, we can probably all find some common ground in agreeing that you don't need to travel very far to find someplace wild, someplace dangerous, someplace maybe the Virgin Mary has in mind for us. Gather those in need of instruction. Do what you can to teach them the love that God has for them. You will find them in the wild places. And after Mary said that, don't forget, she says, "Go and fear nothing. I will help you." Do you hear the Pentecost message here? There is work to be done. There are people who need us, and it cannot entirely fall on the shoulders of priests. We can't be everywhere at once. Sometimes it really does have to be you to bear witness to Christ's love. But don't misunderstand, you will never be alone in that task. Christ is always with you. And throughout history, Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary, so many of the saints have constantly reiterated this Pentecost message, because so many people assume that Pentecost only applied to the original 12 apostles. That is not true. All of us have experienced the Ascension and Pentecost. This right here, this is our upper room. And out those doors, somewhere outside those doors, is wild country. Gather whom you can, do your best to teach what you can, and do not fear anything, for behold, Christ says, I am with you always.